What's good, people? It is Tony the Savant. And before we get started, please like the video, share the video, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I'm dropping content and going live on the channel. As well, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel as I drop content daily, go live daily, stay very busy on this here platform. And last but not least, please leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section as I'm always intrigued to hear what you all have to say about these topics. And ladies and sports fans and gentlemen, especially Packer Nation, before I jump off and recap this game that transpired between the Detroit Lions and my Green Bay Packers, I have to do a special shout out to Miss Tess. That's right, my manager. She is also a big Packers fan, like myself. Also to my guy Spencer, co-worker of mine. Want to give him a big shout out as well. So, two new people that I just met at my new gig, and that are big Packers fans. Subscribe to the channel. I definitely appreciate the love and support. In addition to all my guys in Packer Nation already, BT, Ben Turner, Trey Larkin. Make sure you subscribe to Wise Guys Sports. I got Aaron Ludwig, I believe. Also a big Packers man. Packer Nation is huge, and I do a lot of talking and networking with the Pack Nation. My big bro Dre out there in Milwaukee right now. So just want to make sure I do a special shout out to my Packer network, man. Um, but we got some gloomy news as we took a bad loss to the Detroit Lions. I will say all season long, I've been, not necessarily cheering for the Lions, but I've been I should say, I've been respecting what they've been able to string together, especially these last few games, over the last year or two. The Lions have looked respectable, but I figured that once they get to Green Bay, get to the frozen tundra, LAMBEAU, that we will put them back in their place, and that was not the case. In fact, I'm starting to become a believer. I think the Detroit Lions are the best team in the NFL. I mean, of course, we got the Kansas City Chiefs. They're still undefeated. You got the Baltimore Ravens. They looking pretty formidable themselves. But the Detroit Lions, man, have just been playing on a whole nother level on defense and more notably the offense. They got two spectacular running backs in David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs. And these two dudes, man, have just been tearing up the league. I did not see this coming at all. And they just further their case for being the best team in the NFL right now with this game in LAMBEAU. So just off the top, looking at the total stats for this game, you would have thought that the Green Bay Packers had done the blowing out. Not just we didn't get blown out, but you would have thought that we dominated the game the same way the Detroit Lions did, because on every scale, every statistic, as far as team stat goes, we had the advantage. I mean, we're looking at first downs. We had 20 first downs to their 17. Uh, Third downs, we both did kind of shabby on third downs, but we ran more plays. We had 7 more plays, and they had 62 to their 55. Total yards, we had 411 to the Detroit Lions, 261. Passing yards, over 100 plus yards, 273 to the Lions, 137. I mean, rushing, we were plus 14 there, 138 to their 124. Time of possession, Detroit, they had the ball a little bit longer than we did, 31 minutes and 11 seconds for the Lions. We had the ball for 28 minutes and 49 seconds. But I want to say that we had a lot of penalties, man. A lot of penalties and dropped passes this game. So much so, I honestly believe that if we didn't have those penalties and drop passes, that we would have won this game. There were opportunities, some promising drives that we put together. Um, But ultimately, those penalties counted against us, and the Detroit Lions were able to capitalize. I will say that turnovers has been an issue, namely from our guy Jordan Love. He has, I think, he's thrown an interception every game that he's played this year, if not multiple. But he had one this game for sure, and it cost us. It was a very crucial touchdown to end the first half. Uh, Jordan Love threw the ball, and it was pick sixed. Sorry, guys, I'm learning this email, doing a little work while I'm working. He threw a ball that was pick six to end the first half, and it was detrimental to us. He did this, I believe it was a week or two ago when he threw an interception, and I think he threw it in the end zone. I want to say, if my memory serves me right, he threw a pick while in the end zone, or if he didn't fumble the ball. So it's been something that we've been talking about week in, week out when we recap the Packers games about Jordan Love's, I don't want to say carelessness. I don't think it's careless. I just think that he's been making some serious blunders. Some things that if he would have just thrown the ball away or taken the sack, those things would have given us more of an opportunity to capitalize. But it is what it is. It's just another week. We got to talk about that, and hopefully next week we start cleaning it up a little bit more. Just want to say as well as a caveat, not making an excuse, but Jordan Love has been dealing with a lingering groin injury. I believe we ran at least 70% of our plays, if not somewhere around there, if I recall right. But we ran most of our plays out of the shotgun. Catering to that groin injury has been something that's been lingering these last few weeks with Jordan. So I'm hoping that he didn't, further the injury in any kind of way. And we go into our bye week in week 10 next week, actually. So hopefully he can heal up in that department as well. And we can resurge and have a second half of the season like we had last year when Jordan Love went on a tear. I mean, I think he had like 18 touchdowns, one interception. He was pretty much the best quarterback in the league during the second half of the 2023-2024 season last year. So, furthermore, let's just get right into this game. Look at some of these box scores as the Detroit Lions was doing their thing, man. Jared Goff has put the city of Detroit, honestly, on his back. I mean, Jared Goff he ain't always having big number games, but he's having efficient games. He's not making mistakes that cost his team. And I respect it, man. Jared Goff was going through some woes during his time with the Rams, so much so that people called him a bust for a little while there. I didn't never think that Jared Goff was a bust, but I did have my concerns for him. So I'm happy that he's found a situation where he can thrive. And again, he's got the whole city of Detroit on his back. So, but let's talk about my team first. I always go with the losing team. As Jordan Love, he went 23 of 39. 273 yards, one interception that we talked about. Josh Jacobs was a highlight for us. He had 13 carries for 95 yards. His longest rush was a 37-yard tear. And Josh Jacobs has been, pretty much a consistent presence for us week in, week out. I can't express how thankful I am that I got Josh Jacobs on my fantasy team because he's been one of the few consistent players I can rely on. Emmanuel Wilson also had a rush during the fourth quarter. To try to, we were trying to make a push to come back. Emmanuel Wilson had 4 carries for 28 yards and a touchdown score. Our fantastic receiving core, Jaden Reed led the way. And I got to say, too, I made a mention of it earlier, a lot of drop passes. I mean, I believe we had 5 or 6 drop passes total, but sometimes it's not the total amount of drop passes, it's when you drop passes. And we had one drop. Dontavian Wicks, he dropped one in the end zone. Tucker Kraft dropped a crucial one, an easy one for a first down. I think Jaden Reed, he dropped one as well. So very unlike, and in the weather conditions were bad too. I forgot to say that as well. It was raining in Green Bay this game. And so, we were dealing with some sloppy weather, but still, these guys are professionals. They get paid the big bucks to minimize those mistakes. But we had a lot of drop passes this game. And again, I felt like that really counted against us. at the end of the game. Those mistakes really added up. But nonetheless, Jaden Reed, he had 5 catches for 113 big yards, made a few big plays. He had a 41-yard catch that was very impressive, I thought, because he had been, relatively quiet up until that catch. Christian Watson had a couple big catches himself. I think he dropped the pass as well, but he had 7 targets this game and only had 3 receptions and 37 yards. For my fantasy football folks, Jaden Reed, he had 6 targets for 5, and he had 6 targets, and 5 receptions. Tucker Kraft, again, 6 targets for himself, 4 receptions for 34 yards. Romeo Dobbs, he had 4 catches on his 5 targets, 28 total yards he ended with. Bo Melton had a big catch for 19 yards. Dontavian Wicks, man, 3 targets, 0 catches, and again, he had a crucial drop in the end zone that would have did good for him. But the defense as well, not very, very active this game. No interceptions for him and only 1 sack. That was a half sack to Aaron Mosby, and Rashawn Gary. So they did catch Jared Goff 1 time. But other than that, not really much of a defensive presence this game. I mean, it was as far as, stopping them from scoring. But both teams, Green Bay and Detroit, they was putting up a lot of yards, but not really any scores. But anywho, let's move over to the victor, the Detroit Lions. And shout out to my guy Chris over at Man Down Sports. He covers the Lions. Waiting for him to drop his channel so we can get some more active Lions news. But his guys, man, they defeated our guys. I was talking a lot of crap to him before this game. Jared Goff went 18 of 22, 145 yards, and that 1 touchdown score that we mentioned earlier. David Montgomery led the way for the rushing department of the Detroit Lions. He had 17 carries, 73 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs had 11 carries for 65 yards, had a big 18-yard rush himself, also a touchdown score. On the day, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who has been relatively quiet, in my opinion. He hasn't really had the big crazy games that you see from some of the more marquee wide receivers in the league, but he's been consistent. He has 7 receptions for the wide receiving room, 56 yards, and a touchdown score himself. And for the fantasy footballers, 7 targets, 7 receptions for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is a sure thing. He's as sure as insurance can get when it comes to St. Brown. Sam Laporta, he had a couple big catches, 2 on his 3 targets, 28 yards. David Montgomery, 3 receptions on 23 yards. Got all 3 of his targets. That's about it for the receiving room for the Detroit Lions. Their defense, no sacks on the evening. It was very, very a clean game for them. But Kirby Joseph, like I said earlier, he was the one to get that interception, that bad throw that Jordan Love made to that ended up in a pick six that went to Kirby Joseph. So just again, man, impressive. And this is with the suspension of Jameis Williamson, the receiver for the Detroit Lions, and also Aiden Hutchinson went down with a season-ending injury. The Detroit Lions have just chugged along, haven't lost a step, still doing their thing. And I believe they just made a big trade, too. I got to see today, as of the recording of this video, we are going through the NFL trade deadline. So a lot of teams are making some shaking and moving today, trying to put themselves in a better position to make a push in the second half of the season. And the Detroit Lions are in the mix of that. So I will have a video covering that big trade. But kudos to the Lions. They've been on a tear again these last, 2 season and a half, So and I thought it was all a gimmick at first, but now I'm starting to see that Dan Campbell and his crew, they're doing some good coaching. got a beautiful game plan, getting all these guys involved and getting big wins too. The only loss they had was to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which was a revenge game for the Buccaneers. I kind of predicted that the Bucs would would play Detroit a little harder than they played everybody else, because the Detroit Lions were the team that put them out of the playoffs last season. So I figured Baker, at that point in the season, Baker and the Buccaneers were on a mission. They was looking like a pretty good team at that point. I mean, they still pretty much doing their thing as well. They haven't really fallen off the rails, but that was the only loss the Detroit Lions have experienced this season. So other than that, it's been all blowouts. It's been a party in Detroit. So we'll see if they can keep it up. 7-1 is the Detroit Lions record now, at the top of the NFC North Division. And my Packers, we're not far behind. We're 6-3. But we got some, only one win difference between the two teams, but those two losses, and also losing this game, a division game, could really count against us at the last, during the playoff stretch, when the playoff picture starts crystallizing a little bit more. Hopefully that doesn't bite us too much, and hopefully we can get the game in Detroit. I got to see when we face them next, get this game back and have a tiebreaker, perhaps at the end of the season. So we'll see. We'll see. See if the Lions can keep reeling. See if Jordan Love and the Packers can start shaping things up so we can put another second half, like we did last season, together. But that's all I got for y'all on this one. Please like the video, share the video, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I'm dropping content and going live on the channel as well. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel as I drop content daily, go live daily, stay very busy on the platform. And last but not least, please leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. Always interested to hear what y'all got to say about some NFL football, especially. I am Tony the Savant. Peace.